Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome to my very first Final Fantasy Quick Draft with Omniscience Emblem. So Final Fantasy Omniscience Draft here. This is an insane format where you're casting everything from your hand for free. Very important to mention that that is spells from your hand. If you're flashing something back, like on Laughing Mad here, or trying to reanimate a Garland, you are going to have to use the mana you get from the emblem, which is 1 mana of every color per turn. So you can't reanimate a Garland in this format unless you put lands in your deck, and you should not put lands in your deck in this format. So that's very important to mention. And also very important to mention that pick order changes dramatically when you can cast everything for free. Card draw spells are absolutely absurd, and that is the #1 pick, the thing you're looking for more than anything else, because when everything is free, you can chain together your draw spells to draw a large portion of your deck in one turn and just empty it all onto the board, try to get a one-turn kill. That is a lot of how Omniscience Draft is going to go. I wouldn't be surprised if the drafting takes longer than the gameplay with how insane the games are and how quick they tend to end. So we'll be showing off a lot of the variances in pick orders today. As you can see on a pack like this, where there's plenty of powerful cards, there's also like a big 7 mana play, but I think Laughing Mad is just the best pick. Discard 1 card and draw 2, and then the flashback there, you can use the flashback mana from the emblem once per turn to flashback to Laughing Mad. So this is a discard 2, draw 4, which digs pretty far through your deck to find more draw spells and keep the chain going. I think this is going to be a very, very good card in this Omniscience format, so we're going to take that here. Another thing to mention, one of the things you can do if there is no card draw in the pack is just take the highest mana value card, because you're getting the biggest cost reduction on it, but the highest mana value card here is actually pretty exceptional in this format as well. This does draw a card when it enters, so it immediately lets you dig deeper towards maybe drawing another draw spell. So I think Colosseum Behemoth is also very, very good. These two are the best 2 cards by a lot, but we're going to take the Laughing Mad here. For pick number 2, there's Summon Knights of the Round. I would love to take that. That's obviously absurd stats. Is there any really good card draw here? There's decent card draw with Dreams of Laguna. This, again, with the flashback mana from the emblem, if you're only flashing back 1 spell per turn, you can be up a card with this. Surveil 1, draw a card in the first place is already pretty solid in Omniscience, because that's digging 2 cards deep for something relevant. Another important aspect to mention about Omniscience drafts is because every spell is cast for free, you're not going to play any lands in your deck. So almost every single card that you draft ends up in your deck. So you will end up with some pretty bad cards as your 37th to 40th playables, the cards you're getting last pick. Like we might have a random Stolen Uniform in our deck that does literally nothing. So having ways to surveil those away or discard them to draw something else is very, very solid. So very important to mention that as well. I do think Dreams of Laguna is great, but Summon Knights of Round is about as powerful as a spell can possibly be without literally drawing you a card. So this really puts that adage to the test of always take the draw in Omniscience. I think this is one of those narrow corner cases. You probably don't take Dreams of Laguna, but it's still surprisingly close for how insane Summon Knights of Round is. For pick 3, we have a couple viable options. There's no card draw here, so we don't have to worry about that. What we can take is Ultimecia to set up our deck with some Surveils. Obviously, we're never going to flip Ultimecia, but Surveil is still valuable in a format where you're forced to play basically everything you draft. I don't think Gladiolus or Sandworm are good because nobody's going to have lands, although Haste is relevant in Omniscience to help you potentially get a win on turn 1. You would need 20 power of haste after casting a bunch of card draw, so it's not super, super likely. But I do think Sandworm's probably better than Gladiolus for that reason, when neither of them get any of their landfall nonsense going. But I do think it's Ultimecia or like Ice Magic here, when you can play Ice Magic for free. One of the cool things you can do with these kind of cards in Omniscience is if you end up with creatures with good enter the battlefield effects, creatures that draw cards when they enter, you can pick them up and recast them and get more card draw from them. So these little bounce spells actually tend to be pretty decent, just bouncing your own creatures, surprisingly. And one pretty big thing to mention if you're going to be drafting the set yourself in Omniscience Draft, you will never trigger anything that cares about 4 mana or 8 mana spells. Technically, if you flash something back from your grave, you will be using your emblem mana, so you will use 4 mana to flash back a Laughing Mad, for example. But you are not triggering cards like Ultra Sensahagen anywhere near as often as you would in the regular set. So I don't really recommend any of these cards that care about mana value 4 or greater. So Ultimisia or Ice Magic here. Ice Magic right now doesn't do much, but if we get some creatures with great enters, it'll be great. I guess it's okay with Knights of the Round, get 3 more 2/2s. But really what you want to be doing with this is replaying creatures that have entered the battlefield draw abilities. I think I'd rather just take the Surveil too. Just take the Ultimisia here, because I don't remember how many creatures in this set draw a card when they enter. I don't think it's a ton, so I'm not so sure this will be a really good Ice Magic format this time around. Pick 4, there's a couple reasonable options here. One of them is Deadly Dispute. Again, we're going to be playing a lot of filler stuff, so if our last few filler cards are creatures and we end up with one on board, boom, draw 2. Pretty good. There's also Ether, which is interesting. So what's cool about Ether is that it's going to copy your next instant or sorcery spell, even if you didn't spend the blue mana on it. It doesn't care if you spent the blue that you get out of the Ether to cast the next spell, so it does work in Omniscience. If it's counter the next spell that you use this mana on, then it would be a little awkward in Omniscience, because then you'd have to use your emblem mana, you'd have to choose to pay for it instead of paying 0. But Ether actually does work even if you're spending 0. So Ether could double up a Laughing Mad or something in the right hand. The problem is in the wrong hand, we have it with our late picks, like we have a Garnet, an Ether, and a Sahagin in our hand, and we just have a horrible start to that game. But it does make it so whenever you do top deck your card draw, it does get doubled. Yeah, I like the Ether and the Deadly Dispute. I feel like Deadly Dispute's probably a little bit more consistent, so we'll take that. Pick number 5 now. Any card draw here? I don't believe there is, so this time we get to toy around with Ether. Random Encounter could be fun. Shuffle your library, mill 4, put each creature milled this way onto the battlefield and give them haste. At the beginning of the next step, return them to their owner's hand. That's fine, because when you put them back into your hand, you get to recast them for free the next turn anyway, so you just get one big haste swing. You are only milling 4 cards with this. That's the problem. You're going to mill 4 cards total, and in Omniscience, you tend to be really heavy on instants and sorceries looking for card draw spells, but there's also 0 lands in our deck, so we won't randomly mill any lands with Random Encounter. So if we're on like 20 creatures, 20 spells, 2 hasty creatures, pick them up, recast them next turn. This is really cute. I'm going to try the Random Encounter out. I think Ether's likely more consistent than it. They're both not very consistent cards, but they're certainly better than some random card that doesn't do anything specific to Omniscience. So we'll try Random Encounter here. For pick number 6, I could see a pretty decent argument for Rook Turret, being able to draw a card and discard a card and really filter through your bad cards looking for your better plays. But also the Fire Crystal is one of the few ways we can get turn 1 wins, giving our entire board haste. That is the only thing this card does, but again, the possibility of turn 1 kills is very exciting to me. So I'm going to take Fire Crystal over Turret. This one could be a little too silly, a little too goofy. Another corner case here to mention, pick 7, is that cards like Light Up the Stage that exile cards and let you cast cards out of exile, they don't work with the Omniscience Emblem. The Omniscience Emblem allows you to cast spells from your hand for free. So when you're casting spells from exile, you will have to use the 1 mana of every color you get per turn. So if we exile a Random Encounter, Knights of Round, a Fire Crystal, we just will not get to cast it at all. So Light Up the Stage is a little awkward. It might even just make the Ifrit better here. Just discard 1, draw 1. Discard something bad, draw something. Do a little digging. Merchant, draw a card, discard a card every turn. Ideally, you really don't want games to be lasting that long that you're doing things turn over turn. So just doing it 2 turns in a row is honestly probably plenty. And you do it for free on Ifrit, and you do it the second you play it. I'm going to go for the Ifrit here instead of the Light Up the Stage. Pick number 8. Now's a great time to mention everyone starts with a 3-card hand in Omniscience Emblem events. So, cards like Marlborough that make your opponent discard a card are very rude on turn 1. That said, draw spells are so much better than the next best card in your hand that if your opponent has like a draw 2 and then 2 creatures in their hand, it's not that bad if they just discard one of the random creatures. I still think cards like Marlborough are better than anything else in this pack, though. Certainly better than cards that put lands on the board or maybe put a treasure on the board, combat tricks, more cards to pick up lands. It's just Marlborough here. For pick 9, we have 2 different options. The Namazu Trader, if the game goes long, can do a little bit of surveilling for us, do a little bit of digging. So I don't mind that. Alternatively, towards trying to get turn 1 wins, Unexpected Request can give any creature haste, and if we're on the draw, stealing our opponent's only blocker and beating down with it could be very good if they have a weak opening hand. So Unexpected Request and Namazu Trader, I think, are both very reasonable options here. I think with a Deadly Dispute here and a random encounter, I want to prioritize creatures when the cards are relatively even. Pick number 10, we can get a 2/2 Chocobo, we can get a 3/2 on the ground, or we can get an Airship Crash, which is removal for something random if we randomly need it, but we can also cycle it with our emblem mana. I think I just take the Airship Crash here over super mediocre creatures like that. Here's Namazu Trader or Sandworm this time around. Iron Giant also could be okay just for pure stat lines, just being absolute beef as compared to these two. Yeah, I think all 3 of these are very fair options. I'll go for the Iron Giant. Probably do want to have our average power be as high as possible for random encounter. Pick 12, Haste Magic. It's pretty cute, but the Ether is also very good if we get the Ether on board before we cast a random encounter or a Laughing Mat or a Deadly Dispute or something. Yeah, I'm going to go for the Ether here, but Haste Magic could be viable as well. Double Ether. Wheel the Ethers because the bots in Omniscience Draft tend to take things based on when they would take them in a regular quick draft. They don't know what's happening. They don't know that we're casting everything for free. All right, pack 2, pick 1. Not in love with this pack. Blitzball is potentially card draw if we hit our opponent with a legend, which is going to take us a while. By Omniscience standards, it's going to take a very long time. There's a Fight-On, which is potential card draw if we have a bunch of creatures in our grave, which probably doesn't happen too often. We've got a little bit of Surveil, a little bit of discard going on. I guess I Deadly Dispute away something and then bring it back with Fight-On, but most of what we would get back with Fight-On wouldn't even have a great card draw ability or anything. Alternatively, there's like Cloud of Darkness, but we probably don't have a ton of permanents in grave. There's Elixir, which is very cute, but if you're getting to the point in Omniscience where you're about to mill out, you've basically already won the game, because that just means you've drawn so many cards. You've drawn like 30 spells if you only have 10 cards left in your deck, because everything in your deck is a spell. So I think it's going to be very, very rare we would ever need to shuffle our graveyard back in. Yeah, these all have potential corner cases, but just aren't quite what you want in Omniscience for a multitude of reasons. Are really just taking like a T-Rexar just for random encounter to be bigger? I don't think so. So forest cycling doesn't work when you don't have forests in your deck, so it's just the 6/6 trample gain 3. I don't know, I really do not love this pack. We also only have like 1 legend right now for the Blitzball. T-Rex or Airship Crash, I guess. Alright, awkward stuff, but come on in, T-Rex. Pack 2, pick 2. Sorceress's Schemes looks absolutely phenomenal. Pick up one of our draw spells from our graveyard and put it back to our hand, and we can flash this back and do it again off of the emblem mana. Absolutely perfect. Quistis is also reasonable, but Quistis is going to be casting spells from your graveyard, or from any graveyard, so you will have to spend emblem mana on Quistis and only do it the one time. Sorceress's Schemes is just a much better version of Quistis for Omniscience. Yep, that's a pretty easy pick. Come on in, Sorcerer's Schemes. Pick 3, Side Quest Card Collection is great digging. Draw 3, discard 2. Again, plenty of filler stuff to discard, like Iron Giants and Namazu Traders and Ifrits and stuff. Just digging for more draw spells to keep looping. I do think counter spells are very good in this format as well, but certainly not better than a draw 3. Maybe if this were between like a Dreams of Laguna and counterspell, we could take counterspell, but not against a draw 3 like card collection. Syncopate's completely useless because while you do get the 5 mana you would need to counter unless they pay 4, they also get the 5 mana they would need to just pay for this. You could only syncopate if your opponent flashes back something and uses some of their emblem mana. So I guess not completely useless, but pretty narrow. Take Graha, which like works with Deadly Disputes and the treasure token on Namazu Trader and Phantom Train. It's pretty narrow, but there's really no card draw here. It's like Graha or the aerial unit. The aerial unit just guarantees we get a Surveil 2 no matter what. So we at least do some digging, even if it's not card draw. Yeah, Graha or aerial unit, pretty close. Pretty close. I'll go for the aerial unit, though. Just a more consistent card. Another random encounter? Please no card draw. Please no card draw. Please no card draw. Alright, basically no card draw. Again, Shantotto doesn't actually work. When we're flashing back our stuff from grave, we'll draw 1 extra card. But we can only do that once per turn because we only have the 5 emblem mana. We don't get to be drawing cards when we're playing free random encounters and free fire crystals and stuff with Shantotto. Realm Sketching is also probably pretty good here, but we're already building towards random encounter, taking some random beef, so let's double them up and we can really build around that. Instant Ramen is probably... I might take Shantotto over Instant Ramen, but these are the 3. And Sketching is interesting too. There's definitely interesting non-random encounter cards, but random encounter is the funnest, highest potential upside card. Oh god, Black Waltz is a monster. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, deal 2 to each opponent. You're going to be chaining as many non-creature spells in one turn together as possible. Playing a bunch of card draw. Black Waltz seems like the truth here. Take that. There's no card draw in this pack. I mean, there's 1 Cycler. Pick 7 looks really bad. As we said, Syncopate really narrow. The cards that pick up lands are completely useless. The land is useless, so we've got to deal 6 or make a 2/2. The 2/2 doesn't work with our double random encounter. I guess we take a deal 6 here. Pick 8, another Ethers, cutes. There's the Opera Love Song, but I've got a lot of cards the Love Song could hit that would not be castable at this point. Lots of double greens, double blues, double reds, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to take the Ether. This was our initial pack. It still looks very bad. No surprise there. Suppose we have enough Surveil to take a random fight on. That way, if our opening hand is like Ultimecia and Fight On, we can turn Ultimecia into straight up card draw if we hit the right creature that we want to pick up. Ice Flan here. Good enter effect over just the 6/5 hard to block because we can never return that anyway. Guess I'll get 1 robot. They're a pretty bad pack. But we're getting really late now. Random creature over these spells. I think Iron Giant over Merchant in a double random encounter deck. Scorpion Sentinel, 2 mana, 1/4. No abilities, baby. Alright, pack 3, pick 1. Resentful Revelation's got to be the truth here. Best card of the top 3 that lets you dig somewhat far, hoping to find your next draw spell. Also fills the grave a little bit for like Fight On. Yeah, I like the Revelation here. We also have other flashbackable spells that it could end up milling. That feels really good. Next best cards, Edgar. Edgar could be huge. Anything that draws 2 or more cards is absolutely insane. in Omniscience, and Edgar has a chance to. I think we're too late at this point to really get Edgar going. But I do have some artifacts. I've got 9. But we start with 3 cards in hand. I don't know. Edgar does have higher potential upside than Resentful Revelation. If we draw at least 2 cards off Edgar, Edgar's way better than Rev. And if we're really lucky, we've got some artifacts here, and we could take some more. I'm gonna gamble here. We'll take Edgar. That is a close pick, though. I do think Resentful Revelation is quite good. And man, I'm sad. I wish we opened one of the draw 4 spells. There's a draw 4 in this format at Uncommon. That's so busted in Omniscience. That's just like the best card, period, in the whole set. Sadly, we did not open it or get past it. This is actually overall a pretty bad Omniscience draft, I think. We missed on any combat tutorials as well. That's a common that's just draw 2. You know, you can usually in a regular quick draft get 2 or 3 copies of that easy. So we've missed a lot of quality cards here that help us dig. All right, we could discard a card, draw a card, or we can spend Emblem mana to sack a creature and draw a card. Not the Ahriman, but our other creatures. Or we can spend Emblem mana to play 1 card off the top of our deck. It's another awkward pack. 3 different, somewhat usable options. I'll take the Ahriman here. Pick 3. There's Resentful Revelation. Any other card draw in this pack? I don't believe so. Oh, there's Laughing Mad. Laughing Mad's probably better than Resentful Revelation. I was going to say Sephiroth's Revelation. But, yeah, Laughing Mad's probably better. That's 4 cards deep. You do have to spend flashback mana for the 3rd and the 4th, but probably better. There's Combat Tutorial. Am I taking Random Encounter over it? If I have at least 20 creatures in my deck by the end of this, I've got 15 right now, then this is also a draw 2, but it only draws the creatures. Triple Random Encounter just is so fun. I probably should take Combat Tutorial, but that's too bad. We'll take Random Encounter. All in on Random Encounter. Another Ether. 4 Ether, 3 Random Encounter. Just try to double that thing up. I'm gonna have fun here. I'm gonna have fun losing. Pick 6. Big creature for Random Encounter. When there's no card draw. I mean, there's very slow card draw. Doesn't work till the turn after we play it. Pick 7. I guess Retrieve the Esper is another artifact for our big card draw legend. So it's probably better than the cat, although the cat could be playable with Random Encounter. I think it's Retrieve the Esper here. Pick 8, we've got an artifact for our legend and a big beefy creature for our triple Random Encounter. Let's do it. Pick number 9, discard a card, draw a card immediately, just on the enter effect on Giat, or slowly draw 1, discard 1 every turn. I am not a fan of delayed rewards in Omniscience because of how fast it is, so I'm just going to take discard 1, draw 1 immediately. Random creature. Summon Chocomog actually probably real with all the random encounters. Buff the whole board every turn. This is a slow enough format that this doesn't really matter that it sacks itself eventually. So it's probably just strictly better than the 3-2. Alright. Some Chocomogs to randomly encounter. Could surveil 1 every turn with Pandora or just take another random artifact. A 1-4. One random encounter damage is so bad. I think either way we're taking the artifact for Edgar. Surveil 1 every turn at the cost of 2 of our 5 emblem mana is also pretty bad. But we can do it at instant speed. We get 5 emblem mana during our turn and our opponent's turn. So having 2 random mana floating during one of those 2 times is pretty likely. I feel like a 1/4 is just so small ball that they're failing one every turn might be better. They're both very bad, though. Okay, these are super, super bad. Haste Magic potentially draws, and then Merchant. All right, we get to cut 2 cards, and this is what I was talking about with having to play the worst cards in your draft, in your deck in the end. So let's see what we got here. We get to cut 2 of these cards. I think if there's any non-creature cards that do basically nothing, those are the #1 highest cuts. After that would be non-artifact creatures that do very little. So there's a Light of Judgment here. I mean, that at least blows something up. Phantom Train doesn't count as a creature for the triple random encounter. It is an artifact, though, for our artifacts. Rare. Don't love the fight on here. Playing enough creatures now that this Argument's gotten better for sure. I don't love the haste magic because this is a huge chunk of cards that it can hit and not cast. That's not counting this that it can't cast as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 cards in this deck. Somewhat close to half the deck will just be exiled forever when we cast haste magic. This has got to be the worst card in the deck then. And then I want to say Scorpion Sentinel, but it's an artifact. So it might be Castle Guard being worse than Scorpion Sentinel. Alright, we'll cut haste magic for sure. Yeah, I care a lot about artifacts here. I'll drop Castle Guard. Keep all the artifacts. And it's 20 creatures, right? Yep. Exactly half the deck is creatures for the random encounters. So usually get 2 creatures hit for 12, put them to our hand. This is far from the perfect Omniscience deck. The perfect Omniscience deck just gets luckier in the draft pod, really. Finds the draw 4 spell and some more combat tutorials. We had an opportunity to pick up 1 combat tutorial. It was between that and random encounter. And I decided, this deck is weak enough that we'll just go full fun with it and try to get the random encounter wins. So yeah, this is light. I feel like this is pretty light on card draw for the average draft pod, which makes it certainly a bit weaker than most Omniscience decks, because that is by far the most important part. It's not hard to get tons of filler, just 6 mana beefy creatures to end the game with. What you really want is the card draw, so that most games you get to draw 10 to 20 cards and then just deal with that opponent. This deck I don't think can do that super consistently. We just didn't find enough card draw. And when I say card draw, I mean cards that draw 2 or more. Cards that only draw 1, like Cycling and Airship Crash, don't really help all that much. Just draw 2 or more, that's massive. Drawing 1 is still good. Like, drawing 1 on ETB and stuff is great. When you have to actually spend some emblem mana to cycle this away, it's not ideal. Alright, we've got a really fun plan here. We have 4 Ether, 3 random encounter. So just try to get pretty lucky and get some insane random encounter kills. Since we don't have enough card draw to do big, draw 10, draw 20 kills that often, we've got an alternate plan that could pop off. Yeah, it's going to be a crazy time. It's going to be a unique Omniscience deck. I don't think we'll probably get this many random encounters in most of our other decks, so this should be a fun time. We'll see how it plays out for us as we hop into the gameplay. Alright, unfortunately we are on the draw. Out of any Magic format ever made, this is probably the most important one to be on the play, because our opponent could cast like 20 spells by the time we get to do anything. I'm going to keep this. It's Ether random encounter. The other issue with being on the draw here is even if they don't cast like 20 spells, if they just play like 2 draw 2 cards to have some blockers out here, it's going to be real bad for us. Laboratory Maniac, so they were absolutely going for it here. That's pretty crazy. Alright, Ether random encounter. It's the best we got. See what happens. They did get the blockers. Ayo? They do draw cards off these 1/1s with Graha. Ooh, we get to draw Edgar next turn. How does this read? Put each creature milled this way. Oh, it's going to shuffle again, so it doesn't matter if I keep Edgar on top. Well, I can still mill the Airship Crash to not draw it. Make it slightly more likely to hit creatures here. Okay, discard a card, draw a card. We'll discard the Flashbacker. Thanks to the blue mana from Ether, I can actually flashback it this turn. Oh my god. I can't get double red for red. Wait, no, Namazu Trader can get double red. Hold the phone. That's it. That's 8 mana too, right? 5, 6, 7. No, it's 1 mana off. Wait, no, 5, 6, 7 plus the floating. Oh my god. We flashed back a random encounter. Oh, I missed on the flashback though. Yeah, I missed pretty bad on the flashback. But then Chocomog. Hold up. Okay. Well, go for it. Whatever damage this is whatever damage it is. Does my... it's probably not lethal. There's 2 big tramplers. This could be. This could be. They have 4 blockers, so block here, they can stop all that damage. Block here and stop all that damage. Block here and stop all that damage. Actually, the 4 there is the best. Okay, so they block this, this, and then the 2 4 damage creatures, which means they take 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 1, 2, 3, 4. Blocks take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Plus 14. They go to 1, but they live. They have 2 top decks to get out of this. They draw 1 off of Graha and then 1 in their draw step. You would think I'd be really happy right now and be like, well, I guaranteed win, right? But 2 draws can change the game in Omniscience. If one of those 2 draws is the draw 4 spell, they could loop. They can get far. Okay, they scoop anyway. Fair enough, they left the game. That was game 1, and I feel like that's about as incredible as the deck is going to pop off. The mana from the Ether and the treasure token from Namazu Trader actually stacking up to be able to legitimately flash back a random encounter. We ethered both copies, so that was 4 random encounters in 1 turn. What an incredible way to start off this Omniscience draft. Surprise attack, baby. Turbo mana, baby. GG. We'll see if they have a counterspell in hand here. This is going to be brutal. 3 random encounters turn 1. 1 mana from Schemes, 1 mana from Ether. That doesn't quite get us to flashing back the random encounter, though. A 1/4. Bad start. We'll see what the next 4 is. The Flan and the T-Rex are much better. Much better. We milled all of our random encounters? That's so funny. Well, I obviously have no creatures in grave. It's definitely not Fight On. And I have no cards in hand for Laughing Mad. Yeah, we just have to random encounter again. See if we hit lethal. If we get a Trader off this, we could flashback. We didn't get a Trader, but we certainly got lethal. Okay. I thought this random encounter Ether stuff was just going to be silly, but that's 2 games in a row. This might actually just be the truth. Like, the best archetype of the format. Still probably not the best card. I cannot imagine taking random encounter over the draw 4. Because if we just went Ether, draw 4, and drew 8 cards, we would also automatically win no matter what. That'd be a lot more consistent than preying on the mills. But this is really good as well. This is starting to look like not not so silly and just an actually great thing to do in Omniscience. Here we are on the play for this one. I think we have to just play the handout and pass and hope our opponent doesn't turn one kill us here. I don't think I can mulligan this, because it draws one good spell and it pops off. I'm going to play it all to the board because there's Hecdies and Marlborough in this format, and Marlborough especially I think is pretty playable. And mulligans are monumentally painful in Omniscience. 2 card hands, 1 card hands. Basically, you have to hit a huge draw spell for a mulligan to be worth it, and our deck doesn't really have those. We would mulligan down. Our best hope would be that our first mulligan gets us a hand with Ether Random Encounter, and we just play that and pray. But if we don't hit exactly that, that's pretty bad. Alright, really good start for our opponent. Dreams of Laguna Surveil 1, draw 1. Colosseum Behemoth, draw 1. They can Surveil 1, draw 1 again with Dreams of Laguna. Yep, there's the Laughing Mad. Discard 1, draw 2. Draw 2, yep. So they found all of the card draw here. Dark Confidant. Dark Confidant's very slow card draw. Still good, but like you take Combat Tutorial and stuff over Dark Confidant. Alright, they finally stopped drawing cards, maybe? Slam me for 5. If they get another turn, I'm dead regardless. I kind of think I have to keep this thing on the board. Give me one more chance to draw something relevant. A little weird to post Combat Dreams of Laguna unless the hill thing is the only haster in their deck. Flan to stun the Ahriman. For Flan. I actually think it might be better for them to stun an Ether here, so I'm less likely to top deck into an out. But this works for me. Alright. I've got one draw step. You are not it, my friend. You are not it. We are going all in on drawing something very relevant, so it's Emblem Mana, sack the Traitor, because again, I'm confident if they get another turn, there's really going to be no winning regardless. So we keep the treasure. I can crack the treasure and an Ether to draw one more card. So this gives us 2 chances to draw into something good. T-Rexar is not it. Honestly, probably cast the T-Rexar just to sack. Well, I mean, that puts us to 17 with a 6/6 on board. They likely have removal here. It's an argument for keeping this around and trying to get another draw step out of this game. Another draw step is still pretty dang unlikely. They have 20 power on their board, and all they need is 1 removal spell or stun to kill the T-Rexar. They can flashback Laughing Mad, discard 1, draw 2 at minimum. No, I think we just need to see if we can get an Ether combo, and that's it. Okay. Absolutely praying here. This would have to be insane. Laughing Mad. Get an aerial unit. The Surveil doesn't matter, I'm about to shuffle again. I guess I can get rid of Dispute to make it more likely to hit Knights of Round, but Dispute's a very good draw if this game goes any longer. I guess because I'm picking up all my creatures here. Yeah, because I'm picking up all my creatures in the end step, if I don't win this turn, then the game isn't going any longer anyway. I don't think this wins this turn. I've already used all of the floating mana from the emblem, sadly. These are all going back to my hands, there's no reason not to send them all in. We at least do force a block, I believe. If they've got 2 removal spells, this is over, though. But they could just chump... No, this has to be triple blocked, and this has trample. Yeah, they have to block with one of their big creatures and not have quite lethal on the crackback. If they don't have double removal here. Okay. Removal the biggest one. That definitely survives at minimum. Double removal wins the game on the spot. Okay, Trample kills them on board here. Do they have a combat trick as one of their last filler cards? That would save them and they'd have a lethal crackback if so. Hidden Trample? Iron Giant so woefully unplayable in every other format? They just Hidden Trample. Wow. 3 for 3. That is 3-0 for this deck. I did not think this game was going to be winnable, but our only chance was getting a really lucky random encounter draw with the Ether, so I'm very happy with how I played that out. That was probably the only way we could have played that out and won that game. Yeah, it looks kind of crazy to like sack the T-Rex are there and everything, but it was absolutely right, because it plays to our out of oops random encounter. Get there, and we sure did get there. That's 3-0 heading into game 4. This is what I call an excellent opening hand. Snap Keep. Card collection first. Doesn't get doubled by Ether, and it digs 3 cards deep to see if we find anything really relevant. If all 3 of these cards are not relevant, oh my god, they are very relevant. Schemes is flashbackable off of the emblem mana, so I think we ditch Schemes. I don't want to ditch Fire Crystal. I probably have to ditch Fire Crystal. That's so sad. I should have taken Dispute at this point, I think. Yeah, there was no reason not to. The rope started showing up. Dispute would have been better. Get the couple treasures here. And then the couple treasures I could use to flashback the Laughing Mad. Well, that works too. I really played this one out wrong. I got scared by the rope, really. We could have had a much safer way to do this, but it ended up playing out just the same, pretty much. That is all of our ethers gone. So there will be no ethering any random encounters. I already got my emblem mana. Solid luck there. None of these add any power to this attack. Okay. Concession from our opponent. They don't have anything that wild in their deck, I guess. And that is 4-0. I don't often expect turn 1 concessions in this format if they're not literally dead, because I think most Omniscience decks, even pretty bad ones, have a slight chance of pulling off like a 1-turn kill like that. So, you never know. Like our third win, if we conceded there, we would have taken our 5% chance, turned it into a 0, but the 5% chance worked out. It's not what we need in an opener. It's fun. I hit for 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have their life total immediately and put them down a card. I'm almost definitely supposed to mulligan this, trying to do random encounter things, but this is fun. We get to do the fire crystal thing. If this Chocomog was a Namazu Trader instead, the treasure token to activate the fire crystal would be so rude. Okay, Laughing Mad draw 2 before they have to discard it. Get the flashback off the emblem mana. Discard a Helgigas, sure. That must be a real strong hand then, because the haste is pretty real on that card. Instant Ramen, yep. See how far they get to loop here. Start with the Elder, of course. Get the Black Mage so they ping off of all the digging they're doing. Dreams of Laguna starts it off. That'll flash back as well, so that is at least 4 cards deep. Surveil 2, draw 2. There's the Ether. Worst case scenario, Ether the Dreams of Laguna here. Oof, brutal. Ether combat tutorial is fantastic. Draw 4. Eject. Get another mage. Draw a card. Very good. Yeah, I think one of the big deciding factors in how good your Omniscience deck is going to be is just, is blue open in your bot draft pod? If blue is open in your bot draft pod, then you get a lot of really, really good tools. Multiples of Dreams of Laguna in combat tutorial. They have the draw 4 too, yeah. So this is what happens when you're in a quick draft pod where blue's open, but it's Omniscience Draft, because again, the bots are just drafting like it's a regular draft. So this is a draft pod where the bots were just, where just blue was open, which is normally fine, right? You end up against a blue deck in a regular draft, whatever. This format's really balanced. You get to play against it pretty well, but Omniscience is so good, or blue is so good in Omniscience, especially in this set, that it's like, well, if you got the open blue deck in Omniscience, you super win. Get past Travel the Overworlds and combat tutorials and eject. Alright, that is game. They might as well have opened an Arden too. That is just the dream over there. Honestly, if you manage to cast a Travel the Overworld in Omniscience, you can kind of win with anything alongside it. So them also having all the quality creatures to go along is just an S tier Omniscience deck. This is not keepable. This doesn't do anything by itself, this doesn't do anything by itself, this doesn't do anything by itself, and none of them work together. We're on the draw 2, so we could just die turn 1. Not a good start. Not a good start. This is even worse, honestly. Play 6/6 and a Black Waltz. Do I have to mulligan to 1 and then just hope that I have a Laughing Mad in that 3? Yeah, I get to look at 3 cards for a Laughing Mad or a random encounter. If I mulligan, there's a Laughing Mad at least. Alright. Top deck anything and cast Laughing Mad. Is the start here? There's some bad draws this game. There's their random encounter. Finds Anima that draws them a card immediately. That's really good. Also milled a Laughing Mad, which is flashbackable off of the emblem mana. This is a very strong start from our opponents. Shinra Reinforcements. Mill 3 nonsense. Gain 3. Seeing a lot of people playing the Prima Vista. I guess you have to get some filler in the end, but... Oh! If I didn't have to mulligan, if I just had these... If I mulliganed to 2 and then had these 2 and then draw some random nonsense, we'd have a pretty good start here, but... The fact that I had to mulligan here, kind of brutal. Alright, well... Take 8 and wait. We're not dead on board. If I give them another turn, they could very much find some kind of haste kill. But they can't flashback random encounter without other random pieces of mana. I'm just going to wait. We're far more likely to pop off a draw 4 than a draw 2. This also gives us a chance to draw into random encounter for the Ether instead. Alright, well, we're dead. If they have Sorceress Schemes, we're dead. Yep. 18 damage. Wish I had more card draw. Our deck is just too inconsistent. But we just didn't have opportunities to pick it up. Really do not want to 4-0 into 0-3. I think I just keep this at this point. If they don't have a combo turn here, this is very reasonable. So they keep Laughing Mad and one other card. Marlborough shuts that off pretty well to where they top deck and just Laughing Mad blind. But if their 3-card hand has like a draw 4 or a natural draw 2 like Combat Tutorial, Marlborough is not going to get them. Brainstorm. It's basically a draw 1. Just put the cards right back. But the fact that it digs is really good in Omniscience, right? Because if there's anything good in the top 3, then they get to have the good card right now and draw the filler afterward. Brainstorm would be awesome in our deck with 3 random encounters. Who needs fetch lands with Brainstorm when you have a random encounter? Yeah, cast Brainstorm, put 2 filler creatures from our hand back into our deck, and then shuffle them and try to mill. Be more likely to mill those creatures. Oh, they had a Laughing Mad to discard to Marlborough. That is particularly rough. I forgot about the flashback. That does mean the Marlborough is not really good against the 2-card Laughing Mad hand. Because they just ditch the Laughing Mad and then cast it with the emblem mana here in our end step before they draw. Okay, they like their last card. That's not good. They open Travel the Overworld. Trying to get Red Mage's Rapier kills, that's pretty cute. Also could just be one of the filler cards they took 10th or later in the pack. That's a lot more likely. Borrow a T-Rex. Stun the Black Waltz. Trample Haster. Okay. Down to 12. Sephiroth to sack the T-Rex. Sephiroth also incredible in Omniscience, because you just sack your filler creatures in your hand to do more digging, make it more likely to draw into the Travel the Overworld style cards. Emmett Selk is also incredible. Draw a card, discard a card immediately, and it is not that hard to get 14 cards in grave, actually. What are you going to do? That is Omniscience Draft for you. Very, very swingy format, really easy to go 4-0 into 4-3. And more than anything else, the games are kind of decided before they even start, depending on the quality of the draft pod and mainly like how open blue is, how many draw spells did the bots pass you is how well your deck is going to do. And unfortunately for our first Omniscience Draft this time around, we really did not get past a lot of card draw. The only one I skipped out on really was Combat Tutorial. We skipped out on Combat Tutorial for one of these random encounters. I think that ended up being worth it. That was really fun, doing that with the quadruple ether as our best bet. Other than that, just some unfortunate draws here. The 4 wins were really good, pretty lucky draws there too, especially our third win when I thought for sure we were going to die. That was insane. That was super, super fun. But what I'm saying about unfortunate draws here is obviously some rough mulligans there in the last 3 games, but more than that, we never got to play with Edgar or Knights of the Round, and I think those both could have been pretty fun, drawn at the right time, but we just never saw them. But either of those would have been pretty powerful and pretty fun on the right board state. I will say, random encounter is going up in my pick order in the future. Because that was insane. Ether's definitely going up in my pick order. And then Namazu Trader. Surprisingly good. With the amount of flashback stuff that's potentially going on, getting some random treasure tokens to make it more likely you could actually like flashback one of your random encounters is kind of legit. So I do think that I would do things differently in the future. I definitely passed up on some Namazu Traders. For other cards, like maybe Retrieve the Esper somewhere, I took over a Trader. Maybe like a Phantom Train or something. I don't remember exactly, but if we could have had like 3 Traders instead, the Trader with the random encounters, the fact that the random counter can hit the Trader, which then gives you the treasure, and if you had an Ether on board when you played the encounter, that's the 1 Ether mana, the 1 Trader mana. You get pretty close to flashing back at encounters. That's kind of cool. We found some cool little synergies I wasn't expecting. Yeah, I didn't play it out perfectly, but the games that I played really wrong were the games I won anyway. It was the game with Deadly Dispute in hand. The only thing we could have done differently at all in our 3 losses was mulligan decisions, and we never know how those would have panned out. If I just drew a Lunatic Pandora or a Retrieve the Esper or some kind of filler creature in any of the hands that I chose to mulligan, we still would have lost those games handedly. So, is what it is. 4-0 into 4-3. Still a reasonable start, average record here. More wins than losses at least, so a positive win rate as well. But hopefully we can get some more draw spells next time around. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe. Tell the YouTube audience, send us more in a recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.